Happy Sunday, TJ here, and welcome to City Church Online. If you're streaming with us live, play along. We're so glad that you're here. Grateful for our time together? Take a moment right now to share this on social media and make sure to tag us, your favorite church, City Church, on Facebook or Instagram at Love Hope City. Join in on the conversation, catch up with some friends, or make some new ones. Now I have an important question for you. Pizza, toppings, pineapples, yes, no? The answer is yes, but tell me why you think it's no in the comment section. Duel it out, people. Have you checked out our community page on our website? Go to lovehopecity.com/community for all the helpful tips we've been learning during this season. We've been having such a blast getting to know folks and what their personal interests are through these helpful tutorials. If you've learned a new skill during the pandemic, or you have a fun or something creative you'd love to share with our online community, feel free to let us know in the comments section or email hello@lovehopecity.com. Now for today's how-to.
Happy Valentine's Day! Let's make a puzzle wreath for somebody that you love right now. Here's what you'll need. A cereal box, puzzle of any size shape pieces, paint and paint brushes, scissors and a craft blade, Sharpies and a pencil, twine or string, a glue gun, a stencil of any shape, a heart of course, cardstock, and this cup I used just to clean the brushes while I painted. The best part about this craft is that you can find most of these items from the Dollar Tree. First, use that stencil to cut out your cereal box. Then, draw a smaller outline of the shape and use the craft blade to remove it. I use the scissors later on to clean up my design. Set that aside and move on to painting the puzzle pieces. Use as many different colors as you want, use different size shape pieces, whatever you would like. While the paint's drying, cut out strips of your cardstock to fit the width of your design, and flag out the ends for a nice look. Now, write "Love You to Pieces" on it and fold the ends like so for a 3D effect when it's on the design. Once the puzzle pieces are dry, glue them onto the design. You can layer them or just lay them flat, whichever you would like. And now cut and glue a piece of the twine so whoever you give it to can hang it up. Finally, glue on that banner. I glued the banner onto the center, but you can also glue it on towards the bottom and place a picture inside your design. The best part about this puzzle wreath is that it's a gift that will be uniquely from you to a loved one. Enjoy!
Let's get up on our feet and get that blood flowing. Today's for you Office fans. My name is Michael Scorn, and I'm here to say I'm gonna do the scorn in a major way. Well, you jump to the right and you shake that hand. You jump to the left and you shake that hand. Meet new friends, tie some yarn, that's how you do the scorn. You jump to the right and you shake that hand. You jump to the left and you shake that hand. Meet new friends, tie some yarn, that's how you do the scorn. You jump to the right and you shake that hand. Jump to the left and you shake that hand. Meet new friends, tie some yarn, that's how you do the scorn. Now that we've got you on your feet, pump up the volume, have your Bible and a cup of coffee or tea close by, and get ready to worship and hear a good word. Thank you for joining us, and we're so glad that you're here.
is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Feel the darkness shaking. All the dead are coming back to life, back to life. Hear the song awaken. All creation singing, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. You called me out of the grave. You called me into the light. You called my name and then my heart came alive. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. And what a love we found. Death can't hold us down. We shouted out, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. And what a love we found. Death can't hold us down. We shouted out, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. And what a love we found. Death can't hold us down. We shouted out, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Oh, your love awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, you're coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, you're coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, you're coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, you're coming after me. There's no shadow, there's no mountain, there's no wall, there's no fear. You are faithful, all the things you know. Leaves at 99, and I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. So you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Hey City Church, Pastor Kyle here, and this is What's Up. We try to be as techie as we can around here, and we want to make sure that you have all the right stuff loaded on your phone to stay in touch with us in real time. So here's all the techie ways you can participate. First off, download the Church Center app and add City Church as your church. This is vital for all aspects of church life. Secondly, follow us on Instagram at Love Hope City, as well as on our Facebook page. We post all the time on both forums, and we also have a City Church Insiders Facebook group. So go ahead, hop on and request to join if you want to be in the know. And thirdly, do you get our email blasts? I try to send one out about weekly, and I know that we all get lots of emails, but it's good to make sure that you're on our list so you know what's happening in real time. And if you're not getting our emails and you'd like to be, send an email to hello@lovehopecity.com right now from your desired email address, and we'll go ahead and make sure that you're connected. And fourthly, we have a digital note sheet. You can try it out right now at lovehopecity.com/notes, and it's a great way to participate with the sermon, follow along, and have your small group questions all right there. Next up, one of our goals for 2021 is to continue to tangibly reach out to our community, especially during this pandemic. We want to give you, the church, the opportunity to get involved with us. And in addition to the other community partnerships that we have, we plan to do a lot more with Love Anaheim. They specialize in getting local groups connected together to meet local needs. Our next outreach event with Love Anaheim will be happening on Saturday, February 20th from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. at La Palma Park. There are two ways you can be a part of this. First off, you can serve in person at the event. We're looking for about 5 to 10 volunteers from City Church to distribute food to some families. If this need has your name on it, go ahead and email hello@lovehopecity.com right now and let us know, or just connect with one of our staff members in some other way so we can make sure you're connected. Masks will be required for participation. The second way that you can be a part of this event is you can financially support this event. City Church is going to be sharing the cost of this event with 3 other churches at a cost of around $500 to us. If you would like to support this event, you can go to lovehopecity.com/give right now, or on the Church Center app, you can give there too and select community outreach in the drop-down menu of where you want to be giving. Now, we would ask that if you're going to give to this, that gift would be in addition to your weekly tithes and offerings, as otherwise it can affect our funding for the rest of our operations. Next up, it's official. Our outdoor in-person service option will start up again on Sunday, March 7th. I'll put a ... unless something crazy happens. So unless something crazy happens, we're going to start back up again at that time. And we're going to start with one in-person service at 10:10 a.m. Masks and social distancing will be required, and temperature checks will be performed at the door as you come in. And even though it's 2 full weeks away, we'd like to ask that you go ahead now and register to attend. You can do it on the Church Center app or by going to lovehopecity.com/in-person. Our online pre-recorded service will continue as normal with a 9 a.m. start time Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for hanging in there as we've had to pivot back strictly online for a short little stint here. And finally, for today, we have a special message from Dr. Willie and his amazing wife, Joy. We try to do something extra special around Valentine's Day here at City Church. My wife and I have often shared the message together. Last year, Pastor Obi and his wife, Joyce, shared the message together. So we thought it would be cool if you guys heard from Dr. Willie and his amazing wife, Joy, today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a special message from them called, "Oh, the Places You Will Go." And that's what's up.
Good morning, City Church. I am Joy, and I am glad to be with you today. I'm so thankful that Pastor Kyle asked me to come and share a little bit with you today. And guess what? It's Valentine's Day. Isn't that awesome?
Hey, happy Valentine's. Am I late? Did we start yet or what? Wait.
Honey, listen. Did you get this in the women's restroom?
Okay, I did. Make sure to put them back in the restroom before we leave, okay?
Okay.
But hey.
Yeah,
Happy
Happy
Valentine's
thanks.
Day.
Why don't you take
All right,
those?
so,
There we go.
All right. Good morning. So, look, we are so pleased and honored to be able to share this morning. And so we were talking about a title for our talk. And so Joy came up with the idea of, "Oh, the Places We Will Go." That's a classic Dr. Seuss book. So, and that, that's good. Oh, the Places We'll Go. Then I was thinking, how about the Grateful Dead? What a long, strange trip it's been.
Great. No, not so much.
Okay, so Dr. Seuss it is. Look, as we share this morning, we're chugging along through life. We're so grateful to, be the age we are and have been together for a long time, few decades. We're praying that God gives us many more years. But I'll tell you what, we have appreciated the opportunity to think through our lives and just share a little bit about the journey so far.
And you know what? We're not counselors. We haven't really led any special marriage seminars or written any books, although I think this one probably should. But that's really not our style. And we just want to share a little bit about our journey together with you this morning.
Yeah. So pray for us and let's go.
Lord, thank you so much for being with us today and being in our midst. We have such a good God, and we know that. And as we pray this morning and think about what we're doing today as far as our journey together, we just pray, Lord, that we would have something that would perhaps touch someone's life this morning as we think about relationships and the journeys that we are all on together. So be in our midst right now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Some people, they look at their lives and they've got a clear idea. They've got it planned out. They know what they want to do. They know where they want to go, where they want to live, and all that. That is not our story.
Nope.
Our story is really kind of a different story,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But we think about it as an adventure, and it's been a great adventure. And so our story starts this way, and not unlike many people, in many ways, we're really quite different. I grew up in a small little sleepy town in central Ohio. I didn't have a strong nuclear family and, wasn't really stable and all that. And that's kind of where I grew up.
And I grew up on the West Coast in a fairly large city and with a family with parents that were married for over 50 years. So that's pretty different than yours.
It is. In my family, no one since the first in my family who came over from Europe had ever left our little town. No one had ever gone to college, and the idea that you would leave and never come back was the most foreign idea in our family of all.
Yeah, and that's pretty different from mine because I literally got on a plane a week after my mom said, hey, why don't you go away to school since you don't have any direction right now in your life, right?
Oh, but honey, that's a different story. Okay, so no.
Oh,
Remember the
okay.
counselor said we don't have to talk about that.
Okay,
So
very funny.
here's the thing. My idea of a good time is give me a cup of coffee, give me a comfy chair and a book, and sit in the corner and watch the party. I'm good to go.
And my idea of a great day would be to be the first one at a party and the last one to leave. And the more people I can greet and talk to, the more energy I get.
My idea of quality time is messing around in the garage because, there's always something you can work on the car.
Well, yeah, that's true, dear. And my idea is to go out to dinner and a movie. And if it's really a great night, there would be some kind of dancing involved.
Which reminds me, I do not enjoy dancing.
And I am completely aware of that.
Right.
After
And
all
so
of these
clearly
years.
different. Now, let me set the stage here for you. August 31st, 1977, last century.
Quite a long
Judson
time ago.
College near Chicago, Illinois. I had already been at the college for a year, and I was on the staff that was welcoming new students. So we were already into orientation for the new year. The second day of this new year orientation, a group of students came in from California. It's like, woo, kids from California. And so I'm sure that I was at the van helping unload. I don't remember exactly.
I don't remember that either, actually.
Yeah, but that's the way it was, trust me. Because that's
I
what it
know.
says on the script right here, too. So, but later that evening, there was a concert, orientation. And so I was asking one of the other women's staff persons, I said, hey, so did you have any students come in from California? Anybody interesting? And she said, oh, yeah, we had a couple of young ladies came in from California. And this was after the concert was over.
Right.
And she said, actually, see that girl up there sitting at the piano? Her name is Joy, and it's her birthday.
Yep.
So I
Yes.
ran up to you, having never met you, and said, Joy, happy birthday.
And I said, hey, it's my 21st birthday. And that's where really the whole story began. And then I kept seeing Willie pop up all over the place. He would see me on the walkway to class, or he'd give me a call and ask me how I was doing. I thought, wow, this guy is really being very nice. He's the student chaplain. I thought he was taking a little extra time
Ministry.
to get to know
It's
me.
ministry.
Sure, ministry. But he kept coming around and saying hello and asking me how my day was. And then I started to realize, okay, this is getting kind of interesting. And he's a great guy. Well, I got to explain. The college was a small campus. I had just arrived. It's not a very positive story on me, but I thought, I want to see what's out there. I want to see who's out there that maybe I'd like to go out with. And if I am seen with Willie all the time, how's that going to work? I'm going to already be committed to something with Willie when I had just known him for a couple weeks. So in my mind, I thought it was a brilliant idea to go to the store and get a plant and bring it back to him and say, I really do like you. And I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I just need to, kind of play the field a little bit. But I brought you this plant because I want you to know I really do like you and I do care about you. So that wasn't really very nice, was it, dear? And then little did I know that he told my roommate that we shared a room with at school, he told her, you know what? I'm going to wait for her as long as it takes. And of course,
To illustrate, I am not as dumb as I look.
Exactly. So you know what? It worked, and we started going out. And then I remember we were at a retreat, and it was a wonderful retreat in the mountains. And we were sitting there and probably having hot chocolate and looking at the fire. And he wrote a note to me, and he said, I don't know if I should say this, but I think I'm beginning to love you. And he folded it up and handed it to me. And I read it and I said, the feeling is mutual. and I gave it back to him. And that's really where the journey really takes off, because sometime after that, he actually did ask me to marry him, and to show how romantic Willie is.
Some great pictures.
Yeah, there we are at school and college.
So young, looking good.
Yeah. There's the famous fro.
And
Yeah.
those were my best clothes. The fact is, another thing that we were different about, I didn't even own a suit or a coat at all.
Yeah, you
I
didn't.
think the first dance, I borrowed one from Jim
Yeah,
Kennan so
you
I could
did.
take you to the winter formal. That was about as good as I got.
Right,
But look
right.
at that girl, huh? I'm telling you,
Wow.
huh? Cheerleader.
Yeah.
There you go.
Back in the day. But I remember when I was about to leave to go back to California, and he had asked me to marry him. And I think another one of my not very shining moments, I
It's not
said,
true.
well, I said to him, how am I going to go back and be engaged? And I don't even have a ring to show for it. And we had picked out a ring together. And unbeknownst to me, he went down to the jeweler and took his prized possession at the time, which was his Ovation guitar, and he sold it and turned it in so that he could get my ring. So I thought, dear, that was a pretty cool story on you. Pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well, and the cool return part of that is it took a few years, but I think we figured it out about 8 years later,
Oh, yeah.
on Christmas, I believe.
Yep, Christmas time.
It all came back, and I received an ovation, beautiful cutaway. Actually, way better than the one I sold for the ring, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I think
But
it was a
it took
step
you a
up.
while, but it all came back to
Yeah,
us. So
that's true.
that was great. But in those days, we were engaged, and I graduated 1 year before,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I had graduated, and so I guess I had an agreement with your dad, sort of, to make sure that you finished school.
Yeah.
That was a fun
Yes,
conversation.
that's a fun thing.
And I said, look, man, as long as you're paying for it, sure, she can finish school, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much the way
But
it was.
here's the thing. You had one more year of school. I was out. I hadn't started seminary. I was kind of year. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not going to go back to Ohio. I mean, my girl's here. So I just decided to hang out and live there in Elgin, Illinois, and make a way
Yes.
and hang out for that time
And
before.
your job was quite interesting
Yeah.
then.
I rented a little room, and my primary job is I worked at
A casket
a
factory.
casket factory.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just
true.
bizarre. I remember my early days in ministry when I could still remember. I used to freak out as a pastor. I'd freak out the funeral directors. I'd be doing a graveside service, and I'd say, "Oh, yeah, it's looked like an 18 gauge Romanesque pillar deluxe hardware set,
Oh,
right?"
brother.
So I'm just weird that way.
Well, that's okay.
But
You
look-
knew what you were planning for. I don't know if you still want the same casket, but
Yeah, that's true.
assuming that's assuming that you go first. Then I can help pick that
Yeah,
out.
that's the
Anyway.
deal I had with God. But here's the point. We were young, we were so excited, and because we had already left our homes, we realized the best place to get married really was at the college, now university, Judson,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Judson College, now university. So June 10th
Mm-hmm.
on a Sunday evening, 1979.
Yep.
Couple of young kids, barely old enough. Look at that. Huh? Got married there.
You did get your hair cut there. That was good. Sad
Yeah.
though. I should have let you have it all along like that. That
I
was
rented
pretty
the
cool.
tux.
You rented the tux.
So-
That's right.
And it was pretty small, but our family and friends were there, and it just seemed right. That's where we belonged. We belonged together. We were just kind of that was our journey, right?
Yes.
And it seems like that, and then it turns into this, 42 years
42
later.
years later, almost 42.
It'll be
Yeah,
42
in
this
June.
coming
Yeah.
year.
And, we segue now to our family. And one of the greatest joys in my life is having children. I always knew someday I'd want to have my own family. And we have, 4 grown kids now with couple of them with their own children now. There they are. And of course, after all of that, one of the greatest blessings to come along too is your grandchildren. And we have 5 of them. There they are right there this last Christmas. So that's pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, either by design or whatever, we kind of arranged having the children with the ministry, right? So
Yeah, that was another funny part. I used to say, I'm just doing my part for church growth because every church we served in, we had another child. That's kind of
So,
cool the way
4
that
churches,
works, right?
4 kids, so-
4 churches, 4 kids.
there you go.
Yep, there you go.
I'm not sure how the grandkids work into that.
And did you want to go through any of these about the different places?
Yeah. So again, like Joy said, like we said, we've really enjoyed the last week or so, last several days, sort of remembering through. And I asked Pastor Kyle, 42 years is a long time. Could we make this like a 6-part sermon series? And
No.
he said, no, dude, you got 30 minutes maybe. So, keep moving.
Right.
But here's the thing. We realize we've been on a grand adventure in our life and with our kids and all that, but on a grand adventure of ministry too, right? And I wrote down in my notes, all the places we've been, kind of getting back to all the places you'll go, right?
Yeah.
I think it's true to say neither one of us anticipated.
No.
We could never have scripted the places where
Right.
God has led us, right? So,
Right.
even before we got married, we were doing youth ministry in a church that we really never should have been in. So way more conservative. My hair, I didn't even have a tie or anything, and yet we were so blessed there.
Yeah.
Ministry in inner city Chicago, which is a real eye opener for us. And then we feel like the picture of our life journey. I had finished seminary. We were working all kind of jobs, right?
Yeah.
You were teaching high school.
Oh, I worked
and-
for a veterinarian for a while. Remember, did that split shift when we were in seminary and
sold toys at a
Yes,
department store, all
toys
these
and-
things. I
oh.
loaded trucks at night.
Right.
But when we finished and we decided to move west from Chicago to California, didn't have a lot of money, and so no kidding, I got out a tape measure and I measured everything we owned.
because that's what you do.
Yeah, well, that's true too. And I measured it for volume and decided how big of a U-Haul truck we needed, right? And then I actually, on graph paper, graphed that 3D deal
It was pretty
out.
impressive,
It's pretty-
actually.
Yeah, it's pretty geeky.
Yeah.
And then we had this little car, little Honda Civic, really expensive. And so we couldn't afford the tow dolly for it.
Right.
So I did all the measurements, bought 2 2x12 pieces of wood, backed that sucker up against a hill, and drove that little car right inside that truck.
That is a family memory that will continue on. And don't forget, when we got to California, you had to find a place to unload the car.
Yeah. Hey, I
Right?
have a car in the back of my truck. Could you help me get it out? So,
Yep.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
And we pulled out of Chicago, I think it was December 22nd, 1981 or
81 or 82, I honestly forgot
Yeah.
that one, but I know
last
2
century.
years later
People
we had
your
our
age
first
are starting
child.
to lose it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But, and then we found ourselves out here. We lived in Berkeley
Right.
before we had children, and it was great, and tremendous ministry in the peninsula and the East Bay. Wonderful years of ministry in Santa Cruz. Wonderful ministry years in Fresno. And then 10 years or so ago, found ourselves here in Southern California with Transformation Ministries. And
Which is kind of cool because it's taking me full circle back to my roots. Never would I have imagined that 42 years ago, actually 44 years ago when we met, that we would come back this way and be a part of something here. When I was born in a hospital in Covina, not too far from here. So I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. It reminds me of the hand of God that places you different places that you never would have imagined that you would be. And that's, I think, exciting
yeah,
to come
and your
back.
dad was the pastor of that
Yes,
church,
right,
now
that's
called
right.
Christ First
Christ
in Covina,
First in
but First
Covina.
Baptist Church.
Yep.
So sort of coming all the way back around. And like I said, we believe God is. We're asking God for many more years.
I hope so.
Yeah. But gosh, when we think about it, it has been quite the adventure, and it continues
Yeah.
with what we're doing. We're doing something
Right.
now we really never thought we would do, and we're enjoying it. But here's kind of where we wanted to go with. That's sort of like, wow, touching the high points of 44 years almost, right?
Right.
And when I met you, it was your 21st birthday, but I was 15.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're not doing very well at the math.
Yeah. Well, it's not my thing, but But gosh, 44 years. And here's where we kind of thought, like, okay, so what does that remind us of? And for you friends, it's like, what would we say to you? Our life is our life, right? But we believe in a God who blesses life and directs. And so we feel like as we've thought this through, there are a few things, and we came up with these words, that we believe that our life journey illustrates, reminds, and encourages us, and we would say encourages you in several areas. The first is this, to expect and trust in the sovereignty of God. And, one of your anchor verses from Jeremiah.
Yes, I know the plans I have for you, plans for hope and a future, for you to prosper. That's my version. I'm sure I'm getting it out of order there. But God is always working and has a purpose for your plan, not to bring harm, but to be with you. So that's one that's very special.
Yeah, and it's God's plan. And one of the benefits of us kind of reviewing, decades is that, oh my goodness, God was sovereign. We laugh about, jobs we got or ministry positions. It's probably true, including Transformation Ministries. We've never been in a ministry I really ever should have gotten.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, right?
Well,
From the
when
very
you look
first
back on it,
ministry
it was
position.
Right.
I was a ragamuffin, and the mistake I made is I didn't take you to the lunch with Pastor Stein. I should have just sent you, and I would have gotten the job in one interview instead of about 6.
Well, that's very kind of you, dear.
But we were coming to California. We didn't really know what we were going to do. But in God's sovereignty, it was your dad who called a friend, a pastor, and said, hey, in the way that only Doward could do it. Oh, my daughter and her husband are coming out here, and I think, you ought to have them on as a seminary intern, right? So just one after the other, these ministry positions. When we graduated from seminary, we were still very, very young in our 20s.
Yeah.
And what did they say to all of us who were graduating from seminary?
Oh, they said to us when we were in seminary, don't try to get a job out on the West Coast, that you'll never be able to get one, right? Something along
None
those
of
lines.
you young people are ever going to get a job on the West Coast.
Right. Well, and God had other plans, I guess, because it worked out for us to.
Right. We've only been on the West Coast, even when we were very young. And we've looked back on the ministry positions in Santa Cruz, 9 wonderful years, and kids born and all that. We look back and we're like, what were we doing? I have no clue.
Well, I don't know. We kept praying, Lord, just cover up any mistakes. Help take care of all the flaws and the mistakes we make.
So true. So I know we found ourselves many times, always following Dr. Somebody who had been some great person and wondering who are we to be here? But it was the sovereignty of God.
Yes.
Right? And and so we were reminded of that as we look back. The second thing is really this idea to be open and to be flexible. I guess maybe related to that. Don't overthink it. People said, well, young pastors don't get jobs in California because everybody else. Okay, well, maybe they do if you're open to it, or just to be flexible on where we might go.
Right.
Right. In our early years of marriage, we took whatever jobs we could get.
I think
right?
so.
And we didn't have kids, so we could do that.
Right. We could do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we just had to roll with it. We had this little Datsun. Remember the little Datsun B110?
Is that what
the
it
little
was?
red Datsun.
Yeah.
And we were so poor, the starter went out and it wouldn't start by itself. So we did what?
Well, I remember, if it's the car you're talking about, you had to take the battery out and
No, I'm
warm it
talking
up.
about the push start part.
The push start. Oh, yeah. Well, one of us had to steer and the other one had to get behind and push the car.
No matter where we
Exactly.
went, you had to park that sucker. It was a little tiny car.
And that car was so bad that your feet, you could see when you would put your feet down, you could see the pavement when you were driving.
Yeah. But
It
here's
was
the
that
point.
bad.
We just needed to be open, flexible. It's what we had. We needed to do what we needed to do. So again, all of our lives I guess we're asking you to consider your journey as it is so far. And does it not illustrate, and are you not reminded, and I hope you're encouraged that God is sovereign and doing things you may not see now, but he is, and to be open and flexible to things that you may never have even thought about.
And that leads to this point is keep walking in the dark. And I struggled with this a little bit. I talked to Willie about this before we were going to talk today. And I said that I really wanted to be transparent here, not hanging out all the dirty laundry, but transparency about some of the struggles in marriage and family. And I'm thinking of something I heard recently that talked about faith is like reaching out your arm in the dark and moving ahead, even though we don't know in the midst of the sadness or sorrow. I know darkness is used for any number of things. It could be for just the uncertainty of what's coming next, or darkness, like in Psalm 23, when it talks about, yea, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And this part just really pierced my heart. For you are with me. And, we've had some really difficult times. We've had some incredible, joyous times, but some really sorrowful times. Willie and I have been through the death of our parents. No one really prepares you for that. At least I was not prepared for that. And as you see your children grow up and they become these wonderful adults, able to imagine that, make their own decisions, their own choices about things. And sometimes they're hard if they may not be the choices that you make, but you know that God has them on their own journey. And, really rough stuff. And I told Willie when we were going to share today, I'm not going to do sunshine and butterflies. I mean, part of our lives have been like that. But also there have been some dark times where you just had to cling to the Lord and cling to each other because you didn't know what you were doing, how to solve it, what to do about it. We have so many things in our world, I think, that Satan uses as a tool to get people and to get at them. One of them is the area of addiction. And I'm not going to go into a lot of that, but that has touched our family. When you want to save somebody, but you really can't, because you know what? It's God that can save them. And I wanted to say for Willie sitting here next to me, there have been some horrific things that we've been through. Many of you listening can say some in your own heart that you've been through. But what I'm thankful for is in the midst of all of that, you and I chose to cling to each other rather than to turn and run. And for us, that was something that really, really brought us closer together. We've had, I think, a really wonderful life together, but there have been some really rocky times. And I'm thankful that in the midst of all of that, we didn't hightail it out of here and say, okay, this is getting too hard, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm judging someone else, that that's their path.
No, but sometimes we realized we just had to keep going.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't know, you just have to keep
walking
at it. In the
right.
dark. So
walking in the dark.
It's a big deal.
And it is. And when you're a newlywed, you're young and in love, you never imagine 40 some years later some of the joyous times and the struggles that you'll face. But that kind of, that really, I think, solidified for us that we wanted to have God in the midst of our marriage and our life. And, we also hear a lot of people, friends of ours used to say, don't miss anything because your kids are going to grow up like that. And you know what? I'm here to say, and Willie, that is so true.
It's so true.
We just, you don't want to miss the things because you blink and it's already gone. I don't know how we went from the kindergarten years to being grandparents, right? And, I think for us, Willie and I do a lot of laughing together. We try to find joy in things. I mean, he can say some of the most ridiculous things to me, and I want to be mad at him, but then I turned out busting out laughing, and then suddenly whatever the problem was before has dissipated because we're laughing and we're realizing that it was hilarious and we can find joy in even the smallest things.
Yeah. And isn't it true? We've talked this about a lot. Sometimes we're so worried about the next thing, and the great thing is the moment we're in.
The moment we're in.
Right.
Yeah, and we don't want to miss that.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
And if you're married, and we're not just speaking to people that are married, but if you are married, one of the things that I think really has helped us to stay the course is that we are fiercely committed. In other words, there are times when you don't feel that love, you don't feel so happy with your spouse because
That's
they
theoretical,
really
or is it?
no, literal.
Yeah,
Literal.
okay.
Yeah, there are times when we really get on each other's nerves and you really don't feel that love. For example, we are different, as we said. And I have to really remember that and, stay the course. When things aren't feeling so great anymore, I just have decided that I place my stake in the ground, so to speak, that this is our family. I'm going to fight for it. I love you as Christ, loves the church. We love each other, and we have to stay and keep at it.
Yeah.
It's like you used to say a lot, that stick-to-itiveness of things. You stick to it. Even if you want to give up, you just stay, persevere, keep going, keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important, right? And,
Yes.
It's not really what you feel. It's not like the feelings aren't there, but
Right.
Sometimes they're not, right?
Sometimes they're not.
Yeah, I can't remember any time, but apparently you do. So, but that's it's okay. Pastor Kyle has an opening in his counseling schedule for another thing. Again, as Joy said, we would say just a relationship reality is look at your life as a partnership. Be a partnership in your life.
Right.
And that we have wonderfully, I think we have wonderfully and uniquely been able to experience that. Part of it is because of ministry, right?
Right.
We used to joke that, hey, if you want to be a pastor, be sure to marry someone who can play piano. I never espoused to that particular theory.
Are you sure? Because I remember how you looked at me when I was playing piano.
It is interesting that I said hello to you while you were playing piano, but God is good.
Okay.
But in each year, we've been able to really be a partner in ministry. Mm-hmm. I remember I was interviewing in one church, and they had a different view on women in leadership than I hold. So that's not an argument that I have. But I remember they were pushing me a little bit about my wife, about Joy, and about, should she be? And I said, look, I'm married to one of the best ministers I know. You guys are just going to have to deal with that, right? And if you can't deal with that, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Right? And we had a great ministry together. And in my early years, I realized I was going to say, in my early years before I learned how to preach, yeah.
It wasn't so bad. We just had a few little things.
I had a great strategy. Look, we were young. I was a seminary student, and most of my sermons sounded like some exegetical paper that I had to turn in to my New Testament or Old Testament prof, which they actually were. But here was my strategy. Joy would go with me. She would sing one or two solos. I would get up and say, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and then she'd sing again, and people were like, you guys are awesome.
Well, okay, thank you.
But it is true. Over the years, we've worked together.
Mm-hmm.
You've been able to use your ministry. You've had a dual career, raising kids and education outside the church and inside the church. But here's the point. Whatever it is, in our case, it just so happened that our ministry and partnership, man, life is too important, and family and kids and all that, to not take the attitude that we're partners in this thing. Right. We've never had a problem with who's above whom and all that. I've been trying to tell her for years that I'm the head. And she's like, yeah, there's that out of the head to take that upside the head. We've never had a problem because we've always believed.
We were a team.
We practice, we're a team, and we're partners. And, whenever decisions and all that. So that hasn't been a problem. So be a partner in life. I ramble a little bit. So.
That's okay. I'm used to that. That's okay. It's all right. It's all right here. The final thing I want to say is about do what you know. And you know what? Sometimes in relationships, and I bet you can relate to this, sometimes we withhold what we really know that our partner really needs and we withhold it for whatever reason. We don't feel like it. Maybe they've been annoying and we don't want to buy into what they want us to do, so we don't do it. For example, I know that Willie loves it if I would just come out and sit with him in the garage while he works and tinkers on an old car, because he loves to do that, restore old Volvos, right? So if I go out there and he can tell me something about the rotor or something, and that's about as limited as I am, and he has some new part, he's thrilled because I'm taking time with what I know he wants is for me to be with him for quality time. And so I'm just sharing that sometimes we know that it's those little things we do instead of withholding it. So do what you know, like what is it I like to do?
Work on old cars,
No,
drink coffee.
that's not it. No, yeah, you know.
Look, Joy is beside herself that the movie theaters have been closed during COVID.
Oh, let me tell you, for a bluegill like me and wanting to do stuff, I am really missing dinner out and movies. I kind of gave up on the dancing part because I might throw out my hip or back now. But dinner and a movie, and I'm there. And
It's true.
We can't.
And I know that. And I know that, and I can choose. And the other thing, all kidding aside about ripping off the women's restroom flowers, it's true that the woman loves flowers. I mean, I can stop at the grocery store and buy flowers,
Right.
and you are
And I'm thrilled.
giddy with
Yes.
delight over that. And
So-
let's come on, do what you know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Last thing on this one is go second. Go second, and that's really about humility and valuing, your partner. And again, of course, it's so consistent, really, isn't it, with the gospel and what Jesus said and what Jesus modeled. But man, life, it's so easy to be selfish and self-centered, especially in a marriage, in a relationship. And it does take discipline and commitment, fierce commitment, like you said.
Yes.
I like that. To put your spouse, your partner, put them first. Think of them first. And it does take discipline
Yeah, it does.
and commitment to do that, because all of us as human beings we will tend back to be, selfish and self-centered. So again, we just feel like, in our journey, 44 years, 42 married, 44 together, that just the sovereignty, the trusting, the openness to keep going, and this commitment, enjoy the ride, and, have a great time, laugh a lot, don't take ourselves too seriously while we're taking ourselves very seriously, right? Both and, right?
Right.
And we thought, like, what could we share with our church family and anybody else who might tune in, people we care about? Well, that's it. That's what we've learned so far. And we're believing God's going to give us a few more years, maybe a few more decades.
Maybe have some more places to go.
We may have some more places to go. We remembered when we were talking about this, we had, kind of a funky little wedding, like we mentioned, small, family and friends, and at our college, and the reception was in the Fine Arts Building at Judson University, Elgin, Illinois. And on our napkins,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Right.
It
said, with one mind and one mouth, we will glorify the Lord.
From Romans chapter 15. And I don't know, I guess it's for God to say whether we've done that, whether we have together given glory to God. I hope we have.
I hope so, too.
I know that we've wanted to and we've tried to, and God's given us the opportunity. But I'll tell you, you must have thought of that, putting that on the napkin, because it was brilliant then, and it's awesome now. But that really is how we started our married life together anyway, and how we've tried to have this adventure that we've been on, and hopefully maybe in a renewed way to continue to let that be our commitment moving forward. And likewise for any of us here in the congregation, the fellowship today, wow, wouldn't that be something for you to grasp, hold on to, and believe in moving forward? Look, life is an adventure.
Yep.
and you don't know the places where you'll go. Thanks for the opportunity to share.
Yep.
You're awesome, dear.
Thank you.
Love you.
Here's for the next, maybe 30? I don't know.
I don't know, however many. God bless you. We love you. Go in peace.
Well, thank you guys so much for that message. Hey, now's the time to fill out our worship response, and you can fill it out in one of two ways. You can go to lovehopecity.com/response from any web-enabled mobile device, or visit the Church Center app on your phone and click the link at the top of the Home tab. If you're joining us for the first time, be sure to check the box that says watching online for the first time. We would love to connect with you. At this time, we are going to collect our weekly tithes and offerings. And the Bible speaks about the tithe as the obedient response expected from believers. A tithe is literally a tenth of our income. It's an act of faith, no doubt, but it's one that the Lord blesses beyond what we'll ever know. And it's also the only place in the Bible where God tells us to put him to the test to see if it works. So if you're not yet involved, I encourage you to start trusting God with this area of your life. And we have provided 3 simple ways for you to worship by giving. First off, you can head over to lovehopecity.com/give from any web-enabled mobile device and give that way. Secondly, as we've been talking about the Church Center app, you can give that way. Just make sure City Church is selected as your church and make sure your financial information is inputted. That part just takes a minute of your time, and then after that, it's fast, secure, and streamlined. And this is our favorite tool for you to give and also to stay in touch with all aspects of church life. And thirdly, if it's easier for you, you can send a check in the mail to City Church, P.O. Box 587, Anaheim, California, 92815. So let's give with a thankful and a cheerful heart.
When night is falling, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I've decided I'm not giving up, but you won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul.
guys, as you go, I'm so looking forward to serving the community together as a church, to have that option coming up in a couple weeks to worship together in person. It's going to be a great time. You know, today is Valentine's Day, and Jesus says that we would be known as his disciples by our love for one another. And so I pray that today you can bask in the love of God, and you can take some time to show the love of God to someone else who you love passionately with all your heart as well. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.